We're going to show you two ways to solve this compound inequality, and you can choose whichever way you like. The first way is we're going to write two inequalities. So I'm going to start with my first. Negative 8 is less than or equal to h minus 2. Once I get to the second inequality, I stop. And I'll back up to the first inequality, which will start at h minus 2. So I'm going to say h minus 2 is less than 1. Now we're just going to solve it. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So we get negative 6 is less than or equal to h. I like the h on the left-hand side, so I'll flip it around. H is greater than or equal to negative 6. Now on the next one, I'll just add 2 to both sides. So h is less than 1. So it's and between those, so it's got to be bigger than negative 6 and smaller than 1. So I'll make sure negative 6 is on my number line, and I'll make sure 1 is on my number line. Now I'll have greater than or equal to negative 6 and less than 1, and I'll shade in between those two. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is it's called a compact inequality. I am just going to get the h by it. I don't like that. I'm going to redo that as a different color at least. So I am going to just solve for the middle of my inequality. I just remember I have 3 sides here. So I add 2 to the middle, to the right, and I just noticed I messed up in the last one, didn't I? Because 1 plus 2 is not 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. So I should have been out here at 3. Okay, I'm just going to redo that one since I messed that up. So I have negative 6 and 3, closed circle at negative 6, open circle at 3. I'm going to shade in between them. Now the next one, I got distracted because of my mistake. I add 2 to the left, the middle, and the right. So I get negative 6 is less than or equal to h, which is less than 1. 3. I don't know why my brain keeps on going to 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Notice we get the same answer. Negative 6, closed circle. Positive 3, open circle. And we shade in between them because it's and, or because it's in between. And that's what we have to do there. Now let's apply that to an application problem. Said a cereal manufacturer distributes cases of cereal to a grocery store. Each case contains 12 boxes of cereal. I think that's important. I'm going to highlight that. In order to pass the manufacturer's quality assurance test, it's got to be between 336.4 ounces and 331.6 ounces. So 336 must be the biggest, 331.6 must be the smallest, which includes 34 ounces for the weight of the box. We have to include the box in there. I want to write an inequality, I want to solve it, and I want to graph it on a number line. Well, let's start here. I'm going to let x be the weight of a box. define a variable. I have 12 boxes, so I'll go 12x, plus I have 34 ounces for the box, or the case. Then it's got to be between these two numbers. I like to write it as a compact inequality, so I'm going to say it's between 336.4 to be my biggest, and 331.6. Notice it said between, where I'm not including those numbers. So now let's just solve it like we normally do, except we have three sides. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to subtract 34 from the left, the right, and the middle. So when I do that, I take 331.6 minus 34. And I think we'll use a calculator to do that. And we get 297.6 is less than 12x. Notice my 34s, they cancel out. And then 302.4, right? 36 minus 34 is 2. Then I will divide every side by 12. I'm not divided by negative, so I don't flip the signs. So I take 297.6 and I divide it by 12. I get 24.8. Is less than x, because my 12s reduce. And then 302.4 divided by 12 gives us 25.2. So I'll make my number line. I have to have 24.8 and 25.2 in my number line. I can have other numbers, but I want those at least. And then I want to go in between them, so open circle between both of them. And then I'll shade in between them. Now the next one, or the next step of compound inequality, is going to be an OR inequality. Think about what OR means. One or the other. So just have to have at least one of them being true. A union is how we would describe it. The symbol for a union looks like a U. U for union. So it means both of them. This one's pretty simple because you just graph them both on the same number line, but they're two separate problems. So notice I have to have 1. I have to have negative 3. Notice I can have some other numbers too. But x is greater than or equal to 1. And I'll shade to the right. Notice I don't even care about the other one right now. Then x is less than or equal to negative 3. I'll shade that to the left. There is a pattern here. Most of the time, they go in opposite directions, but not all the time. So make sure you do each one. Sometimes they might overlap, which would be your entire number line.